I came to realize a small obstacle in my ministry here. Having just arrived at midlife, many of the movies that I like to reference are hardly known or perhaps not appreciated by the previous generation, the generation which largely comprises this community. However, be that as it may, a scene from one of my favorite movies in the past, Braveheart, came to mind as I was reflecting on the scriptures. In that scene, you have the ragtag Scottish forces on the battlefield, confronting the much larger, much fiercer, much better trained English side. One of the kind of rank and file Scottish farm boys who was just brought there because he was pressed into service cried out in fear, "If we run, we will live." Mel Gibson's character, William Wallace, the main character of the story and the impassioned leader of the Scottish forces, replies, "Aye, fight, and you may die. Run, and you will live, at least for a while. But dying in your beds many years from now, would you trade every day from this day to that for just one chance to come back here today and to say to our enemies, you can take our lives, but you can never take our freedom?" He is addressing the fears that so often drive us to seek safety. Those fears which paralyze us or prevent us from pressing forward to do what we want, to do what we ought. Those fears that keep us from gambling everything, from putting all our chips in and going for broke. Yes, we will remain safe, at least for a while. We'll maintain the status quo. We will not incur any risk, except perhaps the risk of regret, of having many years of missed opportunities. But we will also not stand the chance to win the great reward. Life frequently puts us at a fork in the road. One path leads to safety, at least for a while. Nothing gambled, nothing lost. The other path leads us to a risk, which could lead to the loss, or perhaps the gain, of everything. One of the biggest gambles in life are relationships. Yes, we could play it safe, at least for a while. Hide behind our walls of defenses, keep a distance, everybody at arm's length. Or we could risk entrusting our heart to another and potentially winning the unfailing prize. In our gospel today, we hear about 3 servants who stand at just such a fork in the road. One of them chose safety, to bury what he had been given, to bury what he had, and to bury who he was, and therefore incur no risk. The other 2 decided to gamble everything, to risk it all, to put it all on the line and to immediately go out to give it and to invest it. Yes, the one remained safe, at least for a while. He didn't lose a single penny until he lost everything. The other 2 who risked all, who gave all, who invested all, got it all back. And not only that, but 2 times over, and even more. They gained the praise of their master, whereas the other servant lost even what he thought he had buried safely. We could say that all 3 servants responded out of a kind of fear, because in every relationship there is at least a little bit of fear. However, in an abusive relationship where that other is seen as a tyrant, there is a servile fear. There is a fear that they will punish or hurt us. But in a loving, in a healthy relationship, there is a filial fear, a fear that we may hurt or lose them. In one, we fear breaking a law, but in the other, we fear breaking a heart. One is crippling because we count the cost. The other is compelling because we count all the possible potential rewards that may be won. Today's gospel could serve as another chapter in my fictitious, imaginary, never-to-be-written book titled Things Jesus Should Have Said. He gives a few possible outcomes for the parable that is retold in this scripture passage. The problem is that he doesn't exhaust the possibilities. He doesn't tell us all the potential outcomes. And the ones that he doesn't tell are the ones that I want to know the most, because they are the ones that would alleviate my fears. He talks about the ones who give and who win. These two servants who invest everything and get their returns back. And what we hear about in that outcome is that the amount is of little importance, because the one who gains 5 and the one who gains 2 hear the exact same words from their master. "Well done, my good and faithful servant. Since you are faithful in small matters, I will give you great responsibilities. Come and share your master's joy." We also hear about another outcome, the one who doesn't invest and neither wins nor loses. And that one is cast out into the darkness for punishment, not only losing his coin, but also losing himself. Well, what are some of the other possibilities? Well, there's another possibility about which he doesn't speak, but I would like to hear. What about the servant that goes, who went out and invested everything and lost it all? He had good intentions, he tried his best, yet due to circumstances beyond his control, everything was lost. And so he comes back to his master empty-handed and says, "I tried." What would the master say to him? I believe he would say the same as he did to those first 2 servants. "Well done, my good and faithful servant." Because God's concern is not for success, but for faithfulness. Relationships are messy. They're risky. They're dangerous. They demand an investment, not only with one another, but also with God. And it's true we can play it safe, at least for a while. We can hide behind our masks. We can bury ourselves beneath our defensive walls. We can run and live for a time. But we could also choose to risk it all, to gamble everything, to put all our chips in and go for broke, to stand to win the great reward. For that's the only way that we can win. And the reward so far outweighs the risks. What can be won so much more than what can be lost. Because what can be won, the reward that we stand to win, and can be won in no other way, is love.